Good morning, and welcome to All Faiths Unitarian Congregation. My name is Michelle Gemma, and I will be leading our service today. Here you will find a diverse and inclusive spiritual community where we welcome people with many beliefs. You can bring your whole self, your full identity, your questioning mind, and your expansive heart. At All Faiths, we have more than one way of experiencing the world and understanding the sacred. So, no matter who you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, and no matter whom you love, you are truly welcome here. Is anyone here visiting for the first time? Ah, okay, welcome. So we are so glad you're with us today. And if you would like to know more about All Faiths membership, please see Fran Way after our service in our membership corner, where she is. She might be right behind the back door over there. Or visit our website, allfaithsuu.org. So this morning we have many announcements. Today the children will join Kathy Fanny for Child and Youth Program. And Monday at 7 p.m., Life Rally at Mount Hermon Church on MLK Boulevard. I'm going to ask Marsha if she could come up and discuss that for us.
Good morning. I'm Marcia Bates, and again, just as Michelle said, on Tuesday, March 1st, Lee Interfaith for Empowerment is holding its annual rally. And the attendees will be briefed about the status of Life's initiatives, the next steps that will be taken to further Life's objectives, and what questions will be asked of the Fort Myers council members who have committed to attend the Nehemiah Action. It will be a hybrid meeting. The in-person portion will occur at Mount Hermon Ministries, located on Douglas Street, 2856 Douglas Street in Fort Myers, and parking is available on the side of the building that faces the Martin Luther King Boulevard. We can meet at the church and carpool. We need to leave the church parking lot by 6:25 p.m. and an email blast will be sent telling you how to access the meeting online. So we're hoping to see many All Faiths attendees at that meeting. And if you have questions, you can ask me, or Barb McFarlane is here today. She also has information about Life. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Marsha. Okay, so I'm going to ask Carol Heisberg to come up now and discuss the Climate Action Committee. Thank
you. Yes, I'm co-chair with Joan of the Climate Action Team, and this morning we have been circulating amongst you as you come in to let you know about the tour that we're sponsoring of the waste management facility this coming Friday morning. And also, for those who are hungry afterwards, we're planning to meet at the Buckingham Road restaurant for lunch. And we expect it will be a very informative tour. We've made up little information sheets telling you when and where it is, and also we have a sign-up sheet for those of you who decide today that you would like to participate. And otherwise, if you contact Joan by email by Tuesday, we can add your names to the list. So we'll know how many people to advise the waste management and the restaurant facilities to expect. So you can see either Joan or myself after the service. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, we'll get back to the other announcement. Sunday at 9:15, News Talk at All Faiths Sanctuary right here with Richard Keelan. Please rise in body or spirit. Oh, excuse me. Anyone interested in helping out with the sound, Ed Elroyd, he will be holding a class next Sunday after the service. So if anyone's interested in learning how to do the sound, please meet next Sunday with Ed. Please remember to bring your masks, as we still have a mask requirement in this building. Please. And also, today, we will be having coffee. Yeah. Coffee. All right. Please, now, if you could rise in spirit and body as we sing together hymn 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. The words are on the back of your service.
Rejoice and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
As Regina Kilmartin comes forward to light the chalice, please join in reciting the words in your order of service. I don't know. May the light of truth illumine us. May the spark of love set our hearts on fire. May the flame of freedom burn brightly within us, now and always. Thank you. Please join in singing hymn number 413, Go Now in Peace, as our children join Kathy Fanny for their Child and Youth program in the Robinson Room.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Each Sunday, we light candles for the joys and sorrows we would like to share with the congregation. If you have a joy or sorrow you would like to share, please come forward, masked, and light a candle.
Good morning. I'm going to light a candle in memory of Trayvon Martin. Yesterday was the 10th anniversary of his death. As you know, he was just going out to a store to buy some Skittles, and he was slaughtered by a racist person. So we still need to work very hard to overcome this extreme oppression and racism that continues to flourish in our society. This is for Trayvon.
I'm going to light a candle for Ukraine. My both grandparents were born in Ukraine in a small village that doesn't exist anymore. And I spent a long time trying to pronounce it. It's called Niktoroslavny Gabernik by the by the Dnieper River. The village doesn't exist anymore because of pogroms, and same thing's happening again. They're trying to eliminate the Ukrainian people.
Carlos, don't you have something to share this morning? Or no?
For the email,
Oh, okay. We can keep them in suspense until next week. Okay.
it's one of those things that if you say you don't want to be jinxed, so it's.
Oh, yeah.
But you have a big part of it.
I'm lighting a candle for Quillen McDagle, who is battling pneumonia at the moment, so keep her and her family in your thoughts. Would anyone like me to bring the microphone to you? I light this final candle for the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken and in our hearts.
I'd like to ask everyone to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let us turn our minds and our hearts to today's service and contemplate our blessings. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing together hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. The words are on the back of your order of service.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirs of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
What a treat it is to have the How's that? Okay. What a treat it is to have the choir all in one spot when to hear them. It is now when we are called to be witnesses of the world, to mend it, to change its course, to restore it. It is now when we are called to act on our values. Not to hide, not to fear, but to be bold and loud. It is now that we are called to continue our fight for justice, to organize and speak up. It is now. As we gather this morning, let us keep the people of Ukraine in our hearts and our minds. Let us gather, let us give each other courage. Let us hold the people of Ukraine in our thoughts and prayers, and let us wish for peace. It is good to be together.
Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Up on the mountain, my Lord spoke. Out of his mouth came fire and smoke. All around me looks so shine. Asked my Lord if all was mine. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Jordan River runs right cold, chills the body, not the soul. Ain't but one train on this track, runs to heaven and right back. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray.
Today's reading, I'm very honored to be reading this. It's an excerpt from, excuse me, A Promised Land by Barack Obama. Each time I walked down the colonnade or looked out the window of the Oval Office, I saw the handiwork of men and women who worked outside. The groundskeepers in the garden, they were guardians. I thought the quiet priests of good and solemn orders. And I would tell myself that I needed to work as hard and take as much care in my job as they did in theirs. Groundskeepers working in the Rose Garden, they were all employees of the National Park Service. They were older men dressed in green khaki uniforms. One of the oldest men was Ed Thomason, a tall, wildly black man with sunken cheeks who had worked at the White House for 40 years. The first time I met him, he reached into his pocket for a cloth to wipe off the dirt before shaking my hand. His hand, thick with veins and knots like the roots of a tree, engulfed mine. I asked how much longer he intended to stay at the White House before taking his retirement. "I don't know, Mr. President," he said. "I like to work. Getting a little hard on the joints, but I reckon I might as well stay as long as you're here. Make sure the garden looks good." Oh, how good the garden looked. The shady magnolias rising high at each corner, the hedges thick and green, the crab trees pruned just so, and the flowers cultivated in the greenhouse a few miles away, providing a constant explosion of color, reds and yellows and pinks and purples. In spring, the tulips massed in bunches, their heads tilted toward the sun. In summer, lavender heliotrope, in geraniums and lilies. In the fall, chrysanthemums and daisies and wildflowers. And always a few roses, red mostly, but sometimes yellow or white, each one full in its bloom. That's the end of that reading. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing together hymn number 147, Lift Every Voice and Sing. The words are printed on the back of your order of service.
pray for me. God, when we met thee, blessed our hearts, drink with the wine that we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land.
Good morning. I'm Lewis Robinson, a member of the congregation. I want to thank you, the congregation, for allowing me to be the speaker today. I also want to thank Reverend C.J. McGregor for this offer. I would also like to thank Linda Bigelow for her encouragement. She sent me a commentary from the Florida Wheatley, February 9/15, 2022, an article by Mr. Roger Williams. It's a very good article. I hope you will try and get a look at that. Very pertinent racial struggle currently facing us today. And from his perspective, being born and spent most of his life in Fort Myers. He does mention lynchings in Bethesda by the Sea and Fort Myers. He also mentioned in that article racial motivated massacre in OE, November election day 1920. He did not include the racially motivated massacre in Rosewood, January 1923. But I think you would enjoy reading the article. I would also like to thank you for your support of the Unitarian Universalist service organizations. They supported the work of John Marshall and I in Dunbar during the 2019-2018 pandemic when we worked with the team and residents there. There were some lessons that I learned from that experience. Number one, you must get the clearance of the city manager before starting anything in those areas. And you must present your findings to the city manager. But the city manager seems to have known answers to all the things we were doing before we even started our survey. You probably remember hearing about Billy's Creek, a persistent polluted waterway that runs from Caloosahatchee River through the neighborhoods. A source of pollution was always in question. With the help of other environmental groups, especially the Caloosahatchee water keepers, the source of the pollution was discovered. The failing Fort Myers sewage treatment plant and recurrent spills, which the city manager should have known. The history and observations also give us some answers to the reasons for persistent water problems of the residents. Old, outdated water connections. You remember the problems that they were having in Flint, as well as possible old residence connections, lines. These problems could be corrected if we had the advantage of the dedicated funding for removal of lead pollution and connecting lines that are in the Build Back Better legislation. It doesn't seem that we're going to be able to get there. Some perspectives on the African American leadership, though. And I would start with a disclaimer. I am not an authority. I am not now a black leader in the community. But the message I bring is from my experience and from my readings. Many of the characteristics that I will present also apply leadership in other minorities and poor areas. Many of these areas in Lee County, the residents live in a state which I would describe as pretty close to apartheid. Charleston, Pine Manor, Palm Beach, Ortez, Dunbar, Lehigh Acres, Harlem Heights, Immokalee are just a few to name. Black leaders do not reside often with the masses because of the problems: poverty and oppression, the gun violence, drugs, and most of all, surveillance. We have many forms of surveillance in those neighborhoods, including police. Black leaders are controlled by the same myth that we live with in this country, the myth of the black-white binary. The emphasis is on constraining black leaders. And black leaders generally gain their authority through white leadership or institutions controlled predominantly through whites. Black leaders are often the religious leaders. Also, black leaders will often change their religion from the usual. For instance, Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali. A quote attributed to Malcolm X: "What do they call a Negro with a PhD? Nigger." Black leaders will often choose to reside away from the authority, often will travel abroad and stay abroad. James Baldwin, for instance, Stokely Carmichael. W.E. Du Bois stayed abroad and was educated mostly abroad. He preferred or felt that the education in Europe was superior. I would like to mention that we have had one black president, President Barack Obama, First Lady Obama. We've also had two black candidates for the office: Congressional Representative Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jesse Jackson. We currently have Vice President Kamala Harris. First Lady Obama arrives from the Low Country. That Robinson clan migrated to Columbia and north to Chicago. My Robinson clan arose also from the Low Country to Columbia and went north to New York. I remember the circumstances around the statements being made about, "Oh, we wish and we will be happy when we can get someone that looks good in the White House instead of a gorilla. That was quite weak. Black leadership is a very large subject. We can only cover a small amount. But one thing for certain, being a black leader is not easy. In fact, staying alive is the most difficult task. To be fair, we'll start with the original sin, slavery. The Middle Passage brought the largest transoceanic migration in history from western coast of Africa to the New World, some 13 million lives, with 400,000 of those coming to North America. It is estimated that some 2 million died in passage. Much is written about that passage, but I chose the writing of John Newton, slave captain. Every morning, perhaps more instances than one, are found of the living and the dead fastened together. That enterprise, slavery, secured the British Industrial Revolution and underpinned the American Industrial Revolution. And that is described in a book, what I would recommend, by Eric Williams, Slavery and Capitalism. There are many who petitioned slavery. Perhaps the most memorable was Frederick Douglass, an escaped slave who taught himself to read, became a lay minister, author, activist, publisher, abolitionist. He often talked himself hoarse, determined to communicate what the Negro people, black people needed and what they wanted. But that's still a burning question. Then there was young Phyllis Wheatley, a survivor of the Middle Passage. She was born in Gambia, abducted from a child carrier and sold into slavery. She wrote about that in a poem to King George III. I, young in life, by seeming cruel fate, was snatched from Africa's fancy happy seat. Pang excruciatingly must molest. What sorrow labors in my parents' breast. Harriet Tubman escaped from slavery in Maryland, returned many times to escort family and other slaves out of bondage. She was nicknamed Moses, the conductor of the Underground Railroad. But she suffered seizures from head trauma induced by her captors. Toussaint L'Ouverture, leader of the slave Haitian rebellion from France. He restored the paid plantation system to Haiti, was governor for a while, appointed himself even governor general for life, but was deported after a year when the French forces restored their authority to Haiti. He was jailed, died in France a year later. The French demanded restitution from the loss of the slaves, and Haiti had to pay. The United States made sure of that. Let's take a detour from America, a short trip to Cuba. The Castro brothers, Fidel and Raul, they engaged in a long struggle to secure freedom of their country from colonial abuse. It was their determination, the Castro brothers with the Afro-Cuban Army and the Afro-Cuban Air Force, that delivered Africa from apartheid, of which had the support of our country until almost the bitter end. 60 years ago, last month, also marked the anniversary of the embargo against Cuba. For what purpose? Also near the anniversary of the move from Cuba to South Florida of Big Sugar, which made worse our water problems. Nelson Mandela struggled against apartheid. He was imprisoned for 27 years and returned to lead his country as the first president, winning the Nobel Peace Prize with Mr. de Klerk. Also with the guidance and help of, I'd like to mention, Mr. Desmond Tutu. Nelson Mandela took a world tour. He visited Canada, he visited Cuba, but he did not visit the United States of America. The Civil War granted relief from suffering to slavery. Many fought in the war to gain freedom. I would just like to mention one, Robert Smalls, an escaped slave from in South Carolina. He commandeered a Confederate armed transport ship called the Planter, escaped to the Union Navy, and served during the war. After the war, he did return to South Carolina. He served in the South Carolina legislature and served 4 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives. And he says this: "My race needs no special defense, for the past history of them in this country proves them to be equal to any people anywhere. All they need is an equal chance in the battle of life." As I mentioned, the ongoing question is what the Negro wants. In this nation, we have yet to reckon with our legacy: slavery, racial terror, lynching, legal authorized segregation, and abuse, continuous manifestations of racial heresy and bias. People of color exist somewhere in a state between apartheid, quasi-freedom, and justice. The United States must commit to truth, justice, honesty, and honestly engage, not hide. An American dilemma it remains. We currently question, which seems to be an unresolvable issue recurrently, what is needed. In 1941, an essay by Langston Hughes with the same question: what does the Negro want? Since then, there have been in excess articles, periodicals, books about the subject. But the most renowned was by William Couch, who engaged the service of historian Rayford Logan of Howard University. After consulting with renowned Negro leaders about the question, the answer, what the Negro wants, was first-class citizenship, full equality, absolute political and social equality. They all agreed. William Couch, as I said, was the author. He is also the publisher and director of the University of North Carolina Press, who engaged Rayford Logan. After Rayford Logan assembled the book, Couch found it unacceptable, although black leaders were in absolute agreement. Under threat of lawsuit, Couch agreed to publish the book, but with a disclaimer, because publishing the book was not pleasing to whites, especially Southerners. It was the social equality which drew the strongest opposition and forms still today the basis for our bitter differences. Social equality, which means sexual equality, interracial relationships, marriage, reproduction, were unacceptable. Angela Davis, activist, Black Panther leader, had an opinion about this. Why was it acceptable for white men to have access to black women's bodies and not black men to white women's bodies? Her statement, as oppressor or agents of domination, that white men approach black women's bodies. Couch continued to attack black leaders and argued that the United States must give up the American creed and go fascist, or accept an equality which would permit amalgamation. While amalgamation was ongoing all the time, with pressure from those who were in opposition. The answer was segregation. Social equality, what they didn't want, is part of normal socialization, based on ideologies of individualism, objectivity, uniqueness, all human characteristics not controlled by force. This fear of social equality has consequences. It has prevented integration, inequality in all areas of people's lives. Housing, education, employment, and most of all, government. Prevents not only access to opportunity, but access to real power and equity in America. During the same period, 1943, a pamphlet by two anthropologists commissioned by the USO, the United Service Organization, The Races of Mankind, was published explaining the common origin of humanity. The peoples of the earth are one family. Any head can house a brain. And in an intentional provocation, they included a table showing that African Americans from the North scored on military intelligence tests higher than whites from the South. The Army first ordered 50,000 copies, but the chair of the House Military Affairs Committee, a Kentuckian, found out and withdrew the order. The black populace also has an unquenchable thirst for education. Many black leaders expounded upon that task. Paul Laurence Dunbar Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, and many others. Paul Laurence Dunbar is credited as the first African American to put the African American experience before a broad audience in a poem, We Wear the Mask. W.E.B. Du Bois, the sociologist, historian, socialist, civil rights activist, was a strong believer in education. As I said, he went to Europe. Under his initiative, we started the NAACP and historical black colleges and universities. He believed that the fine arts and sciences were the answer. And you heard, we've had him here several times, and I right now can't grasp his name, the last speaker that we had last week. Jared Eady. Jared Eady is, I think, a fine example of what W.E. Du Bois wanted to do. But there were so many impediments. Booker T. Washington, activist, educator, socialist, founder of Tuskegee Institute. He believed more that industrial education was the answer. Along with George Washington Carver, an educator, agriculturist, scientist, inventor, he promoted alternative crops to cotton and methods to prevent soil depletion, crop rotation. He was awarded the Spengard Medal. While we were at Tuskegee Institute, the guide pointed out that although Booker T. Washington met with presidents, governors, and those in power, he would patrol Tuskegee Institute on a white horse with a gun. Oscar James Dunn, first black lieutenant governor of Louisiana. This is during Reconstruction. He worked to achieve quality education for millions. Education of public education systems for children aged 6 through 18, without distinction of race or color. He was poisoned. Let's move from segregation and oppression to integration and equality. That has been a big move yet to come. The struggle to end segregation and oppression is long and hard, but there are many heroes. We will only highlight a few. Thurgood Marshall, Medgar Evers, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, CORE, Congress of Racial Equality, Freedom Riders, and many others. Highlighting just a few: Congressman John Robert Lewis, seminarian, first chair of SNCC. The civil rights activist, congressional representative from Georgia until his death. Voting rights legislation, written and sponsored, still not passed in our Congress. He was also a worker and a soldier for Martin Luther King Jr. Martin, social activist, Baptist minister, civil rights leader, drew inspiration from Christian faith and peaceful teaching. Awarded the Nobel Prize winner, remembered for the I Have a Dream speech. But the quote I most would like to appropriately bring to you today: the time is always right to do what is right. We are in a time now, whether you realize it or not, we're going through difficulties. Threats on freedom to the ballot box, threats on the right to free speech and education, threats on autonomy on one's body. We need to secure the right to live safely from gun violence and health safety. Whether you get the immunizations or the mask, I'm not going to comment on that, but we need safety. So I'm asking you, just as when Martin was in trouble in Montgomery, he called for his friends. The Unitarian Universalists stood up. I'm asking you again, stand up, answer the call. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. I wasn't expecting to do the offertory, but let this be a lesson to you. Always have a joke in your back pocket. But before I offer you my spare joke, it's kind of like break the glass in an emergency. I'd like to thank all of you for your generosity and thank everyone watching us this morning for your generosity. And if you'd like to make your offering, you can do so by following the directions below the video you're watching. A well-worn $1 bill and a similarly distressed $20 bill arrived at the Federal Reserve Bank to be retired. And as they moved along the conveyor belt, they turned to each other and they struck up a conversation. And the $20 bill reminisced about the travels all over the county, or the country, excuse me. I've had a pretty good life, said the $20 bill. And why I've been to Las Vegas and Atlantic City, the finest restaurants in New York, performances on Broadway, and even a cruise to the Caribbean. Wow, said the $1 bill. You've really had an exciting life. So tell me, says the $20 bill, where have you been throughout your lifetime? And the $1 bill replies, I've been to church. And the $20 bill interrupts and says, what's a church? The morning offering will now be given and received.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. Gods are gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in white. Gods are gonna trouble the water. The leader looks like the Israelite. Gods are gonna trouble the water. the water. Looks like the band that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Look over yonder, what do I see? God's gonna trouble the water. A love and light shines on me. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
My closing words just disappeared. We have a calling in this world, a calling to honor diversity, a calling to respect differences, a calling to work for justice. And as we take our leave, may we be reminded of this calling in our heart and in our spirit. Blessed be.
Swing low, sweet chariot, well, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, well, coming forth to carry me home. When the saints go marching in, oh, when the saints go marching in, I wanna be in that number. When the saints go marching in, I wanna sing, sing, sing. I wanna dance, dance, dance. I wanna sing, I wanna dance. Oh, yes. When the gates are open wide, I'll be standing by your side. I wanna sing, I wanna dance. Hallelujah. Sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. When the saints go marching in,
I want to sing, I want to dance, hallelujah.
Wow. That was awesome. So I'd like to thank today Dr. Lewis Robinson for his inspiring message. Of course, Reverend C.J. McGregor for his uplifting words. Carlos Garcia in the choir for the music. Kathy Fanny for our child and youth program. Sharon Gray on camera. Ed Alrod on sound. Joe Gayton, our sexton, and our friendly greeters. It is good to be connected and to stay together in whatever way that we can. Now, if I could ask Regina Kilmartin to come forward to extinguish the chalice, please join in reciting the words in our order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of the community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. Now go in peace.